Welcome to the Main Event Podcast. Jason Carter along with Steve McCullum.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, or evening, or morning, or wherever you're listening
Wherever
to
you're
this. But we're not live there, Steve.
Oh.
And if we were, it'd be evening, I think, since it's almost the 5 o'clock hour.
When does it officially turn evening? I got a serious question on this.
Oh,
When does afternoon end and evening start?
I think 5 is the cutoff there, right? Like, I think, yeah, because, I mean, count morning.
Why wouldn't 4 count?
I count morning up until,
Until McDonald's
when
stops
you
selling breakfast.
wake up in the morning until like 11. When places over for lunch, then you go in the afternoon. I know some people are like, oh, you're like, hey, good afternoon.
Yeah, so
you're
afternoon
like, it's
would
still
be-
morning time.
Afternoon would be 11 to
So I go
3.
11 to, I don't know.
4? I know. I've always wondered that, actually.
I'd say 5 would be evening, more evening than, because you still say like mid-afternoon. Like,
No, 5. Yeah, no, there's no
something
doubt.
starts at like 3:30. Mid-afternoon start, you know?
There's no doubt 5 o'clock is evening. I misspoke.
Yeah.
But I was just curious on when it started.
Like who's like, that's going to be evening time right there, 5 o'clock.
It's like at 3:30.
That's
If
when
I
you get home
say
from work.
at 3:30, I would say afternoon at 3:30, right? Because that feels more afternoonish.
You say mid-afternoon.
Well, so early evening.
No, that's mid-afternoon. That's not early evening's 4.
4 is
4:30.
early. Good.
Well,
good
here-
early evening.
Well, here where we're at in Arizona, I mean, with all the snowbirds and everything, evening starts a little bit earlier. Everything closes down this side of town pretty quick.
They're done by breakfast by making it sound like we're in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, we're not, but
Things are open till 10.
in Mesa, it shuts down a lot sooner than it
11?
does in other places.
Oh, well, definitely not a college town.
Definitely not the college town. But speaking of college, man, how's your bracket looking
Well, Jason,
after the first 2 rounds of March Madness?
in the, what do you call your pool? The Jason Carter.
The Misfits. We are the Misfits.
Oh, the Misfits.
Is what I have up for our pool here. We got
I'm in 5th place.
We got 9 guys. I'm in 3rd right now. Overall, I am ranked 1,293rd and 110th out of all the people that have filled in a Yahoo.
You're in the 1 million category. Congratulations.
You are in the 2 million.
2 million.
if you want to talk about it.
2,022,000. I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you did.
But no, it's still holding up strong. Lost about 5 of my Sweet 16 teams as it come to the weekend. But I still have 7 of my Elite 8 teams, minus Kansas. They did me dirty the other day.
They did everybody dirty, I think.
They just got blown the heck out by Auburn.
LSU's killing me because I had them losing in the first round. Obviously,
Yeah,
they're still around.
I did have LSU losing in the first round, but definitely didn't have them going as far as they are going right now. So that's a bummer.
And then Liberty, winning obviously hurt.
Yeah, I had the Terps doing some work, but
But I had
Maryland-
Mississippi State beating Virginia Tech, so that didn't work either.
Maryland let me down. Yeah, I have no idea what I had there. God, Mississippi State beating them. Then I had Mississippi State.
Well,
going
you
to
didn't
Sweet
have
16.
Liberty, I can tell you that.
Yeah, Mississippi State going to Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Maryland going Sweet 16.
And then for some reason, in all my other brackets, I had Oregon surviving, and then in this one with you, I don't. I had them losing in the second round.
I thought I had Florida State being Marquette, but apparently I didn't. But Marquette actually lost to Murray State, but then
It wouldn't have mattered.
FSU beat up on Murray State regardless. So I thought I had
Other
FSU going,
than that, I'm clean.
but I had them losing. So
My 16, other than Virginia Tech, my 16 are all still there.
yeah, I look terrible there. What we call it, the left and right side. On the left side, I look terrible. On the right side, still holding up pretty strong there with just 1-16 team out. So, yep, not too shabby.
Yeah, because I had Maryland
So 4.
beating Michigan State
So,
in this one.
so I still got 12 teams rocking right now.
So other than that, all my other ones are still alive. So I just lost some early rounders that hurt, like LSU. LSU losing that first round wouldn't have hurt as bad. It's just they kept losing. They kept winning.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I'm like, all right, that's fine. Like, the first game's happened. Like, all right, I'm cool with that because I had the next team beating them anyways. But then that next team ends up losing. And you're like, oh man, what the heck?
Yeah,
Come on, guys, pick it up.
Yeah, if they would have lost to Maryland, I would have just lost one weekend, and I would actually be a lot better off. But that's the whole thing on these brackets is you got to make sure when you have a loss, it's the last bracket where you lose for them, and they don't go to the end. So
Yeah, so you can rebound. Like all of these people, like, oh, my bracket's busted on like Thursday and Friday. I know Adam. We were talking to him, one of the OGs from the main event. Shout out to Adam. He was like, man, none of my upsets panned out for me this week. I was like, bro, you don't do it like that. Like, yeah, you can go like 1 or 2 upsets maybe. Like, I know there were some people that did pick Liberty to beat Mississippi State.
yeah, but
and like you can get
that doesn't
away
win. That doesn't
with,
win the tournament. tournament
like
for you.
that. But yeah, that doesn't win the tournament. Like that just helps out, your cause because you actually had a winner and they got a loser. But you really make up your points here coming up in the next thing. So you can't pick like 4 or 5 upsets.
Well, it's like,
because then they're not going to be there for you.
It's if somebody has Villanova.
Unless you had them like losing the next round.
It's if somebody has Villanova in the Final Four and they lost in the second round.
Yeah.
Those people are pretty much screwed because they may still be up there now, but once the Final Four comes around, they're going to be out because, you can't lose that many points when everybody else has those points. So that's the thing.
I still got my Final Fours.
I'm fifth.
My championship game, so we're still looking good.
I'm fifth, and 15 of my or however many Sweet 16 teams, all of them except for one are still in it. So I'm still in it. I can make a run here.
All my Elite 8 teams minus Kansas are in it, so I'm still good. So let's go Duke, Michigan State, Gonzaga, Texas Tech, Kentucky.
It's so funny how
Tennessee and Virginia this week.
It's funny how when you look at different brackets and it's like I had Michigan State losing to Duke,
and also go Auburn because some of these guys had North Carolina going Final Four, and I just really need North Carolina to lose this weekend. Get that over with.
And like this one bracket, I chose for Michigan State to lose before the Brent Duke game. It's like, why did I do that in this bracket, not the other ones?
Oh yeah, and you always try to remember like, oh, what I do, and I was like, oh man, I did that, and you remember the one where you think it's going to matter.
I've been on the Michigan State bandwagon that they're going to make it to Duke because I didn't see anybody else beating them, and I don't know why I did it differently on this one.
I mean, UCF gave Duke quite a scare the other day. That was probably the game of the weekend, I think, Sunday afternoon there.
What? No, I mean, is that the game of the week or Tennessee almost losing earlier?
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee, Iowa, that was a good game. I mean, I remember I woke up late. So I wake up late, and I'm like, I look, it's like, oh, yeah, I forgot Tennessee's playing right now. And I see online, like, they're out. Like, halftime, like, oh, Tennessee's got this, walking away.
You
do some laundry. I'm going to hang out for a little bit.
You walk out of your room.
Out some computer stuff in my room real quick.
You walk out of the room, and I say, Tennessee's in overtime. And you're like, no way. And I'm like, no, dead serious. They just went to overtime.
Like, you talking about the women's game? Like, what got here?
Hey, I turned it off because I was like, the whole second half, I had it on, and once it went to overtime, I was like, I'm turning this off because obviously I'm the reason Tennessee is going to overtime.
You're the jinx. You're the reason I'm going to get pissed.
and they dominated after I turned it off in overtime. So.
And very admirable of Admiral Schofield, actually. So he did get in some foul trouble late in that game. Had 4 fouls, came out, and then in overtime told the coach, told Rick Barnes, like, hey, keep me out. Like, they're playing better ball with me out of there. So
what did he say that? Because I also saw that he said he didn't want to foul out of the game and cost the team.
I think in overtime, though, you got to put him in there, right? Like, I mean, I think it's one of those things that if they don't win and Admiral didn't play in overtime, it's why didn't Admiral play in overtime?
But they did play better without him at the end of that game. So
it's one of those things where it worked out. So whatever they're saying, if they're throwing up smoke screens, I don't care. They walked away with a W. Thank you.
It was some other radio station, so I don't know what was actually said. I just know that he said that they're playing better with me on the bench. And he had 4 fouls, and he would have played timid in there. I hate that when guys have 4 fouls and they have to play timid because then you go after them, and it was probably the right move. I'm not going to lie to you. It's probably the right move.
Yeah, so it looked good. All panned out there for him.
But, I mean, that close game, and then, like you said, that Duke game. Do you see the end of that Duke game?
Yeah, so it was funny because one of my friends from work hit me up. He's like, hey, man, you want to meet me out so-and-so? I was like, yeah, dude, sure. I'll come out. You were over there sawing logs on the couch. It's after the NASCAR race.
I'm a little tired.
I was, went out and met him at a drinking establishment, and I was listening to on the radio, which radio, by the way, does it right. Although you have no idea what's going on, but they do the cross from game to game to game, like CBS used to do, which is awesome, but you have no idea what game you're even listening to if you stop paying attention. If you check a text message at a red light or something like that, you have no idea what you're listening to. Go inside, get a Coke at a convenience store or gas, and you're like, hey, what game am I on right now? But no, so I got in there, and it was funny because they kept talking like, Duke's up by 7. Then, a few minutes would pass, and be like, UCF's come back, down by 2. Like, what the heck happened? Kind of missed what was going on there and who's on what team because you don't know anybody on Duke except for Zion, right?
Zion, right?
Like, pass to Zion. Like, all right, cool. No, Duke has the ball. And then I get into, so they're up by 7. I walk into the bar. I look up, I was like, what the heck, they're tied now? Like, I literally just walked like 30 seconds. It took me to walk from my car to here. Like, what the heck?
It was one of those finishes where it wasn't, like I heard people be like, this is the Duke resiliency. This is what makes Duke great and how they're going to win it all. But it wasn't Duke being better. It was just the things didn't go who was the team? UCF. Things just didn't go UCF. Like a guy missed a free throw, a guy missed an open three. There was an over and back call that wasn't called, but didn't really affect it. But I mean, if one of those things, if he sinks one free throw, they win.
I mean, if the guy getting that rebound off the free throw, that was huge.
The guy missed an easy layup, I think. So if that would have gone in, they would have won the game. If 2 minutes before that, the guy would have sunk the three, they would have won the game. So I mean, it wasn't Duke being resilient and dominating or anything like that. It was just two evenly matched teams going at it, and just things not going the way for one of those teams, which happens.
I think if anything, UCF was the more resilient team, probably because they're the lower seed. But I mean, you know, they're not known for their basketball. Definitely known for their football, being national champions and stuff. So I mean, they're now they're basketball school now too. So I mean, watch out next year. UCF going to win 2 national titles. Going to be exciting.
They showed the blueprint to beating Duke, man, and it's shut down the outside shots. And if Duke plays Tennessee here, which I'm hoping they do,
well, that'll be a title game.
I know those bigs in Tennessee. Well, Duke's going to be in trouble.
I still got losing Michigan State. I still got Michigan State and Tennessee in my final. So I think Michigan State's the one team. That's the team I was picking. A lot of people were predicting. So kind of bandwagon on their stuff because I don't watch any college basketball this year except for we're out eating at a bar or something like that.
Yeah, right. I know. Well, that's most people, Jason. Yeah. But I mean, they flat out showed how to shut down Duke, and their outside shooting is god awful. So if you can shut down around the rim with them, and you need bigs to do that, and Tennessee's got the bigs.
Yes, they do. Speaking of the bigs, the big leagues start tomorrow. Major League Baseball. Of course, this is our MLB prediction show. A lot of changes in the offseason. Some free agents still looking for some places. So, I mean, some stories for me to keep an eye on is where is Dallas Keuchel going to end up? When and where will he sign? Craig Kimbrell, he's still out there as well. So, I mean, where are these guys going to sign if they sign? And what is it going to be? Obviously, some devastating news already here local in Arizona. Well, whatever you want to call it. Steven Souza Jr., he's out. Man's made of glass. Torn ACL, LCL, PCL.
He had a football injury stepping on home plate.
Yeah. There's no place like home.
Yeah, and his 2 years here been a disappointing injury plagued and everything. But I mean, it was in an exhibition game. But before we get to the previews, talk some NFL rule changes.
Yep. Well, the one rule change is pass interference will be reviewable now. Do you not like? I'm not a fan of that. Just because I think.
But what happens if they? Okay, so
I mean, I like all right. If it's blatant and obvious, like obviously that Saints and Rams game where all this is coming from, where it was obvious that was a pass interference, like the guy rocked, the dude's world coming to that final play.
Yeah.
But if it's like a little tug and these guys are playing hard, and I hate when they're like, oh nope, let's call pass interference on that, and they throw a flag. When it wasn't called, I don't know. But
if they if they determine that's not a flag, but they see something else that's a penalty on there, they'll throw the flag on that.
Right.
So let's say, I don't know. Let's say somebody's running down the field.
Let's go with holding happens on every play pretty much, right?
But so let's say they determine it's not pass interference 20 yards down the field, but they see the... So the offensive team throws the challenge flag. They review it to see if it is pass interference. They determine it's not, but they see the offensive player grab the defensive player's jersey in the thing. Pass interference offense then. So that's the caveat. You better be dang sure you're clean. Because if they determine it's not and your player does something, it's going the opposite way, and that's going to hurt you.
I'm sure there's going to be a few times this year where like, my God, why did my team throw that flag?
Can you imagine losing a game where you cost yourself 15 yards because... I mean, that's dangerous.
Then it's all on the coach, right?
So that just tells me that... I mean, how conservative are NFL coaches? Unless it's as obvious as that Saints one in the playoffs, I think nobody's going to challenge that flag unless it's just blatantly obvious.
Right.
Like, there's no way, like, a blind monkey will call pass interference on this call. Other than that, I don't think you're going to see the flag thrown much because You do not want to be the coach that gets a 15-yard penalty after you challenge something.
It'll be interesting to see when the first one gets thrown. If it happens week 1, week 2, week 3, we're gonna be waiting for when's the first one
it'll be
gonna
in
get thrown?
preseason so they can see how it works.
Right, but the first regular season one is going to really cost you. That's when you're going to be talking about it for a week. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this numbnuts over here. All these coaches are on the hot seat going into the season already.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this guy just cost us a effing win.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't even think Bill Belichick would be immune to the amount of vitriol from fans and media if you throw a flag and you get the penalty. I don't see how a coach could survive that. Then what if it happens twice? It's not a coach. Fire him on the spot, right? So that's why I think that's why they put that caveat in there, just so it's not willy-nilly on question. Most 95% of the pass interference calls are close enough that you can't argue it either way.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you're that was definitely pass interference. So I think that's what makes it exciting is how many people change it up.
It will definitely be interesting.
Did they pass the 4th and 15 rule? I don't think they did, right?
I do not think so. I didn't see anything out of that, at least.
Because they're doing that in the AAF did it, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Somebody else did it on there. Kickoffs are going away at some point, but I'm just laughing because it's I'm just imagining the coach that's oh my god, that was so blatantly pass interference. Challenge that, okay.
And then guy, hey, don't throw that flag. Oh crap, I already did. Yeah, our guy was holding.
Yeah, 15 goes the other way because they didn't catch their guy holding down the field 5 minutes earlier. Down the pack and everything. So, it's not. What's nice about that in my eye is that the NFL saw a blatant thing that was negative for them. Because usually when a negative play happens in most leagues, they're just oh, it was a one-off, so we're not going to change the rule, So that is one good positive, is that the NFL saw something so egregious, is my big word of the day.
We're hey, let's nip this in the butt. So
yeah,
good on them. And
we're still on the speaking of football, we're still on the Kyler Murray #1. The draft was 1 week from yesterday, or 1 month from yesterday, by the way.
Nice. So we still have a month of Kyler Murray, Josh Rosen talk. Cardinals, just trade Josh Rosen because I'm tired of hearing about the comparisons.
So I heard
or trade that pick away, or just say, hey, we're getting Bosa.
Well, so
either one, I don't care.
So the
do
Giants,
one of those 3 things.
Well, they're going to wait to see what a good deal. So I told you this earlier that the Giants GM came out and said that he called. Look, we're trying to find a successor to Eli Manning, and we called the Cardinals about Josh Rosen, because we're interested in a trade for him. And they were like, "What were you told?" They were like, "We were told he wasn't available." So, which I told you was what that means is that the Giants didn't offer enough. So on there, I think, to be honest with you, it's going to come down to offers. If you're going to get better offers to trade the #1 pick, they're going to trade the #1 pick. If they're going to get better offers to trade Josh Rosen, they're going to trade Josh Rosen. And if they don't get the offers they want, they're going to draft Nick Bosa. It's that simple. But they're in the bird seat. I think they're comfortable with Bosa. I'm assuming they're comfortable with Bosa as #1. But I did hear Mel Kiper today, which kind of opened my eyes a little bit, because he's the first one I've heard say this, where he said any other head coach on the Cardinals, and they're sticking with Josh Rosen, no questions asked. Mm-hmm. But because they have that offense in there, and you want your head coach to have a quarterback he'd be more comfortable with in a system, that's the only reason the Cardinals would go Kyler Murray for #1, is for that reason. And that actually opened my eyes, because that was the first thing somebody said that makes sense to me regarding that pick.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Guess we'll have to wait and see with the rest of America.
1 month to go.
But only 1 day to go, Steve, before we get to Major League Baseball and what should be a national holiday. I know you're off tomorrow.
I'm actually, I've already announced I'm taking tomorrow off.
I don't have that luxury. I have to work.
I was like, I think I told you earlier, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything tomorrow. So, yeah, I mean, as a non-huge baseball fan, opening day is something special.
Yeah, it's definitely something special. I know we were kind of looking at the schedule, kicking around the idea maybe next week. I know you're an Angels guy, I'm a Rangers guy, and Rangers and Angels play the Angels opening day, their home opener at least, which is always a huge thing to see the home opener and all the pageantry that goes into that with the players being announced on the field and all that stuff, and the big ass American flag. And
I just feel like the players play harder on opening day.
Oh yeah, they definitely do. I feel like they do. There's something going on there.
But so all the, it always makes me laugh how none of the East Coast teams are opening on the East Coast, because it's cold.
Well, this is like the first year actually fully implementing that too.
Yeah.
Like it's been a while. Like everybody's been asking for that for a long time.
Well, God,
now.
what was it last year? Like half of the Midwest and East Coast first 3 weeks were snowed out. It's like, or it's postponed for cold. Like there was a Cubs game that was not even for snow. It was just postponed for cold.
Yeah. So I don't know. I know the White Sox are already painting their lines and everything. I don't know if they're starting out at home tomorrow or not. I know they were in Arizona playing the D-backs the other day, so they might be starting at home. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I haven't looked at the rest. But I mean, Boston's in Seattle.
The Cubs are in Texas. Yeah. The D-backs are at the Dodgers. I figured the D-backs would start off with somebody here, right? And have LA start off with somebody else. I don't know, but
I don't like the opening with your own team in your division. I don't like that because we'll see the Dodgers 19 times this year or whatever it is, right? So and they're in the division. So start with somebody, whoever,
But in terms of like a team standpoint, like if you're a home team, you're going to sell out opening day regardless, and then you still get the other dates that you could potentially, draw a big crowd to. Like if the Cubs, when the Cubs come here, it's going to be a big crowd for the Cubs.
I'm about to make a point to you here.
But the D-backs home opener is against the Red Sox, which...
Yeah. So open up against a crappy team. So the D-backs home opener.
Well, not everybody can pick the Marlins.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm getting at. So the D-backs start with the Red Sox at home. I mean, that first day is selling out regardless.
That week, it's a weekend series, so Saturday's looking pretty good. Sunday probably be a little lighter, but probably still looking at 35. I think
it will be interesting to see because there's some other events going on in Phoenix that weekend. So big events that people are going to go to. But yeah, I mean, so why not bring in like a Marlins for your first home opener? First game sells out because otherwise you get in the Marlins in July and there'll be 5,000 people there.
Right.
Or
especially with the crappy team. Yeah.
Pittsburgh, somebody that doesn't have a big following out here. The
White
Reds.
Sox kick off in Kansas City, by the way, which not too sure what the weather is in Kansas City, but I can't imagine it being too
better
great.
than Chicago.
Too comfortable. Probably better in Ohio. Reds, they start off at home and
yeah, so some of those teams are
some of those teams you have to, like Philly, they have to start at home and all that stuff. But no, I know. I guess I get what you're saying.
Just something to throw out there. I don't know. At least not in your division because division games are special on their own. Like at least here in Arizona, who do Diamondbacks fans get excited about? Dodgers. Giants. Padres, no.
Well, now with Machado, you might get a little excited about them.
But, I mean, those are the teams you get excited about and you pay attention because those are the teams that are always good in your division, right? So it's no different, than the Angels if the Angels opened up with Texas, and stuff like that. It's like, we'll get excited about these games anyway. So bring in
Joe Blow,
whoever. I'm drawing a blank. Tampa Bay.
They are doing it this year with it being a weekend opener too. So everybody's Thursday. Some teams I know have off Friday, but some teams are starting with a 4-gamer or whatnot. So I mean, you do still have the Saturday and Sunday flair of everything. So I mean, I think it would work out pretty good for fans and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm just being a crotchety old guy, I think.
You are. Traditionalist over here.
I just hate the Dodgers.
That's what I want.
I just hate the Dodgers.
I don't want to start off with 3 straight losses.
I don't know about well, we thought that last year, too, and the Diamondbacks came out and...
Yeah, they came out swinging last year.
I mean, if the World Series happened after the April schedule, Diamondbacks would have been in it.
Number 1 seed all day. We've been hosting some World Series games. But no, I mean, looking at the the divisions and leagues just themselves, I went to RotoChamp.com Sportsnet.com. They actually pulled out some projected standings for us, so we can agree or disagree, whichever one you want to do.
Woo.
So they got the AL East, the Yankees winning that division with the Red Sox second, Rays in third. That's the three teams over 500 right there.
Rays over 500, really?
Yeah, I mean, the Rays, they got a pretty good little ball club down there. They played pretty solid last year, coming off. A lot of people have been going wild card this year. AL Central, you got the Indians kind of running away with that division over the Twins, being their second, being the only team able to do anything with them, but they still have the Twins losing by 10 games in that division.
Yeah.
And then in the AL West, I mean, it's going to be the Astros all day, pretty much, is what they're projecting, with Angels finishing 18 games behind them, but still with a 500 record, along with the Oakland Athletics. My Lonely Rangers are in last place again. Also, over in the National League, they got the Nationals and the Phillies, Mets and Braves, man. They think those four are just going to duke it out all year long, which I think is going to be one of the more exciting divisions. And then the NL Central, they got the Cardinals with, of course, Paul Goldschmidt this year, barely edging the Brewers and the Cubs. And they actually have the Reds going 81 and 81 this year. They have the Cardinals going 85 and 77. So only 4 games.
Reds have a solid young team. So the Reds are going to be better than you think.
They actually project
the a bad division.
Pirates to finish 79 and 83. So only like 6 games separates all 5 of those teams, so we'll see if that holds true or not. Then in the NL West, which we'll be keeping a close eye on out here in Arizona, the the Dodgers winning that division by about 11 games over the Rockies, with the Padres, D-backs, and Giants all finishing under 500. So anything you agree or disagree with there?
Well, in the NL West, I'm curious who's going to Padres are going to be awful. They'll win a few games with Machado.
Machado might give them a few more wins, but yeah, other than that team hasn't really
5,
changed.
6 maybe.
But they will have Fernando Tatis Jr. playing this year, which is pretty exciting. Going to start the season off at the big club.
So, I saw Machado in a spring training game. He played the Diamondbacks. What was that, a weekend? Last week? Last week. And, he was taking a lot of crap and whatever, man, but that boy can hit, and even, he can see the ball. He plays the field well, and things like that. But yeah, I mean, you're not going to, one guy's not going to give you an extra 20 wins, So, I mean, Padres are going to be dead last. The Giants and Diamondbacks, I think the Diamondbacks are 500 team, if not a little bit better than that, right?
Yeah, they got him 77-85. I think it all has to do with injuries, which obviously the big injury bug already affected them this week. But Steven Souza didn't really give you much in production last year.
But I mean, they lost,
and they lost Goldschmidt, which was and they lost the core of their
Pollock,
their lineup, along with AJ Pollock.
Who's the pitcher they lost? The Nationals, Robbie Ray. No.
Yeah. Ray went somewhere, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't that great. I mean, he was off and on or whatever. But I mean, their pitching staff is pretty much the same. They lost one ace who went to Nationals, whoever it was, Corbin.
Yeah, there you go,
Corbin. But I mean, he was off and on. He wasn't like stock good. And then Souza injury hurts because they sent the guys that that were behind him down to waivers before he got injured. So they're working on that right now. But I can see him being a 500 team with a small run, lower. The Giants are the unknown because they're pretty much rebuilding, but it's Bochy's last year, right?
Yeah.
So they might step up a little bit.
Thanks, Bruce. Tip of the cap.
So that's the thing. Second there, I mean, there's nobody going to be in a playoff race other than the Dodgers in the West, no doubt. The Central, the National League Central, Brewers second. Because they have pretty much the same team, and they were solid last year.
Yeah, Brewers made the playoffs last year. A good, strong run. Almost took the Dodgers to 7 games last year in the NLCS.
I think St. Louis is going to make that big of a leap to.
They weren't far off last year. I mean, if you look at those 3 teams, I mean, the Cubs, Brewers, and Cardinals were kind of right there with each other last year, with the Brewers pulling away from the Cubs late in the season. But the Cardinals, I mean, they were making strides. I think Goldschmidt, he's not going to help them win X amount of games, but he's definitely going to be a force.
His bat's going to help him a lot more than you think it is. The difference between Goldschmidt going to St. Louis and Machado going to Padres is
Cardinals are a good team.
Yeah, he's got more talent around him.
Right.
So he's going to help him more just because his bat is going to be able to drive in more runs and whatnot because more guys will be on base. But I just don't know. I mean, that's discounting the Cubs to third place, man. Like, that's...
Well, they haven't really made any changes, you know? I mean, obviously, their
true.
big thing is, like, whether or not their pitching staff can, like, stay strong. I mean, obviously, Darvish last year, they signed the guy and he went out early in the season. And then Cole Hamels, when he actually got traded from Texas to Chicago, he was kind of more re-energized. Does he keep that energy up going into this year and throughout the year? I mean, you still have John Lester there as well. So, I mean, you keep those big three right there rocking and rolling. I mean, Cubs should be pretty good, I would imagine.
I mean, the Cubs won the World Series because their pitching staff came together and ran. I mean, you could say that for most teams. Pitching staff falls and, goes. I don't know about that. I mean, I definitely expect St. Louis to be in it, and Milwaukee's definitely going to be in it too. But that's the interesting one there is, do you see the Cubs faltering with that young bats and everything? But like you said, the pitching staff is older, to say the least.
Yeah, they're older group.
So, I mean, the injuries there. But even then, you talked about the NL East, that being a close division with the Mets on there. The Mets are always a good team. They just had always injury prone, and they got rid of...
got rid of the trainers.
And Matt Harvey went to the Angels. But Syndergaard's still there, and he was obviously a big injury prone there. So, but I think Washington's going to win that division over Philadelphia, right?
I don't know. I mean, Philly, they added JT Realmuto. Am I saying that right? All-star catcher from the Marlins.
Yeah.
Gene Segura. They got Andrew McCutchen there as well.
Yeah, but McCutchen doesn't do much.
Yeah, I mean, last year when he went over to the Yankees, like he, kind of was re-energized as well. So, I mean, this could be one of those things where, hey,
his career is definitely wrapping up.
Yeah, this is like my career's wrapping up. Let's go out there. Let's play hard. Let's get in these playoffs. Let's go for it here.
Somebody else. Who else?
I can't think of that guy. Oh, yeah, that Bryce Harper guy. Yeah. So, I mean, the East, I think, the NL East is going to be a fun battle to watch, just personally, because the Nationals they're still a good team without Bryce Harper. And they have, I can't think of the kid's name, but he is strong. And a lot of people are predicting the Nationals to win.
Staff, but
yeah, and the pitching staff is just, lights out.
I've seen arguments that Bryce Harper was the issue with the Nationals, where he didn't fit in, was kind of a malcontent in the, dugout. A lot of guys didn't like him, kept to himself a lot. A lot of times you lose a player like that and the team comes together and whatnot and they become better.
Oh, yeah.
Addition
definitely.
by subtraction.
Definitely. And then you got the Braves, who last year, turned some heads and everything. They looked very strong last year, and their team still,
super young.
The younger guys, they just got older, so, got a little bit more experience there. And with the Phillies, I think last year, they were in the hunt for a playoff spot to open last season and, kind of fell off towards the end of the year, but they weren't supposed to be there last year. This was the year they were supposed to be there, and now you got the players that were there last year, along with the additions that you made, which are, just studs. I think the Phillies are going to win that thing. I'm not saying easily, but I think the Phillies are definitely going to be the team to beat in the East.
Whenever a young team has a good year unexpectedly, because the Braves were supposed to be this year too, not last year. Usually the year they're after the good year, they generally suck. Because
except the Cubs. The Cubs proved us wrong on that theory.
Okay, they're the one, right? So Atlanta's probably going to take a step back this year, kind of regroup on that to go back up there again. And I agree with you on Philadelphia, but they faded at the end because of pitching. And what didn't they upgrade this offseason?
Yeah, did not upgrade the pitching.
They upgraded their fielding position, which wasn't their problem last year, especially at the end there. And Washington's got the same pitching, the same fielders, minus Bryce Harper. So you're going to miss his production in there and everything, but can you make it up with the other guys? So, no, I know it's definitely interesting in the East. The Central, I'm shocked that, like I said, the Cubs are being discounted like they are. I know they haven't made a lot of changes.
They only had to lose by 2 games. I think when you look at it, total, overall, just me and you looking at it from, not knowing, much about those other clubs. You look at the National League playoff race, you have those 4 teams that we mentioned in the NL East, along with those 3 in the NL Central. That's 7 teams right there fighting for 4 spots, which, oh, by the way, we have to give one to the Dodgers because they're going to win, the NL West. So you've got 7 teams pretty much fighting for, 3 spots? Well, no, I guess it would be the 4 spots right there because you get the 2 wild cards along with the 2 division winners.
But if the NL East is so let's just say Philly, Washington, and Atlanta are all in the race there, right? The Central has Cubs, Milwaukee, and Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, Milwaukee and St. Louis. You know, so one team's getting left out. That's going to have a pretty damn good team this year.
Yeah. So that's going to be, pretty exciting, I think, to watch just National League wise. I think if you flip the switch, though, over to the AL, the American League, not really a whole lot is going to be like, oh, wow, these guys could make a good run, all that stuff like that. I mean, you got Yankees and Red Sox who... One of those teams is winning the East. One of those teams is going to win the wild card. We don't know which one yet.
I'll put it this way. The American League has like no suspense whatsoever.
Yeah, the American League West. I mean, the Astros pretty much got them being a lock. Their team hasn't changed at all. I mean, obviously lost Dallas Keuchel, but he faded off last year. I mean, they're still
They're going to have some other young guy underneath there that'll come in and fill in for him.
And then you have over there in the Central, I mean, the Indians, who, I mean, nobody else in the Central can even touch the Indians right now. So outside of the Twins, but you're hoping the Twins like just have a good run, which they did like 2 years ago. Last year, not so much. So,
well, that's the thing.
Like you said, like no suspense at all over there in the AL side.
I mean, where you're going to get the suspense on the AL side is for that last wild card spot. Some team, whether it's Toronto, which could be Toronto, because every year you say Toronto.
Yeah, and they'll have Vlad Guerrero Jr. this year.
Yeah, well, once he comes back. Is Seattle going to be able to get in there? Are the Angels going to be able to sneak in there for that last wild card spot on there? Because that's going to be the question mark in that league, barring major injury. Because other than that, it's basic. I mean, right? Because you have Houston winning the West.
Yeah, Houston winning the West. I can see probably the Angels doing it. I mean, Mariners didn't do anything to get better, although right now they are in the catbird seat, 2-0 over there in the AL West. So, I mean, they're looking strong.
But they lost their star player, Ichiro.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't really their star.
I know.
Over in Japan he was.
But, I mean, so the West is Houston. Central would be Cleveland. East, let's just put Yankees and Red Sox both in. So that's 4 spots. So that leads to 2, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it pretty much comes down to, will it be Tampa Bay? Will it be
Toronto, Minnesota?
Maybe Minnesota or the Angels? I'm not really sold on Toronto right now. But the A's, a lot of people are liking the A's, though, this year, too. I'm not really too sure why.
But that's my thing, though. Like, so, like, one team will run away for the second, for the wild card spot, right? And then there'll be, like, the last spot will be some team that you don't see coming, like the A's, like Toronto. Toronto's just young and everything, so everybody picks on them. Like a Seattle. It's going to be some team that you're just not going to see coming out of left field in the AL. But, I mean, that's the only intrigue in the American League. I mean, the National League, every division except for the West has, like, a competition, There's going to be a good team that gets left out of the playoffs in the National League. In the AL, I just don't see it.
Yeah, in the AL, there's going to be like a less than stellar team in that wild card spot.
I'm surprised.
I'm
surprised they picked the Yankees to win that division. Why would you dismiss?
Well, that's just the projected. It's not like a.
I know,
thing.
But why would you?
Roto Champ. I don't know how they do it. But do it from Baseball Prospectus.
Boston's been the team in that league. Like, what did Boston do?
Oh, they lost Craig Kimbrell. So that's huge.
How huge
but they have losing by like 3 games. So
yeah. Well, last year they ran away with it. Remember, and then the Yankees kind of came back at the end.
So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to say the least. But let's get into some projections, Steve. And I'm going to write them down this year.
You what? I'm
going to write down our projections.
Oh, you are?
Predictions this year.
My big thing is how, unless one team in the AL just falls apart, like Boston or the Yankees, injuries or whatever. I'm trying to do a dig on the DH here.
Stop hating on the DH, all right? There's no hate.
The league sucks. The American League is awful. There's no suspense whatsoever.
Well, going to go to DH soon, so then you can be like, oh, well,
great.
I'm done with baseball.
Great, so we'll have no suspense in the NL either.
Yeah, no suspense, yeah.
Half these teams don't even... No AL team, except for maybe 7 of them, have to even suit up.
All right. I mean, Baltimore definitely doesn't have to.
They're going to be worse than they were last year.
Yeah.
They were bad last year. They had Machado for half the season.
They're projecting him at 63 wins here on this rotomchamp.com thing. I think that's too many.
Well, go Roto. They obviously saw something in spring training we did not see.
Well, I think it wasn't composite off of that. It was all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah, I know. They do a bunch of weird stuff that I don't understand. All right, you start off.
So let's do AL first, since there's no suspense there, right? All right, so AL West, I like the Astros winning that division. Sure, the Angels signed Mike Trout to a long-term deal, but they've already had Mike Trout, and they haven't been doing anything in that division with Mike Trout. When it comes to competing with the Astros, like, you're not competing with the Astros at all in that division, and nobody's really doing anything. I mean, you got two teams that are already saying, throwing in the towel, like, hey, we're rebuilding, like Seattle and Texas, so they're kind of throwing the towel right there. So I like the Astros winning the AL West.
I agree.
I got the... So let's see here. Let me mark. I got it written down here on my phone. You can't write them down, Steve, because you're going to lose that notepad. I got them right here saved up.
Jason, I've had this notepad for 2 years.
All right. So AL Central, Indians, I think is the consensus. I'll just stick with the Indians, unless they just go on a catastrophic fall, which I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, I think they'll be too far ahead of the Twins anyways.
Even if they do, it ain't going to matter because all the other teams are awful.
Yeah, they could probably go on an 8-game losing skid and it not matter. So you got Indians as well?
Yes.
The East, you know what? You got to knock off Rocky. You know, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And I don't see the Yankees beating the man. So I'm going to go Red Sox there.
Yeah, actually, me too. I'm going to stick with Boston because they are solid. They're pretty much the same team, and they dominated last year.
All right, wild cards. I mean, obviously, got to go Yankees if you're giving the Red Sox in the to win the East.
But you're going wild card number 1 is Yankees.
Yeah, obviously, wild card number 1. Wild card number 2, a lot of people were saying, other than the Rays, who it could be. I think it's going to be the Rays, just because they play in that. I think just because they play in the East as well. Like, they play against like super stiff competition all year long, and like they're known, like they're prone to that. So I like the Rays there just because they battle those tough guys all year long. So yeah, I got 3 East teams going in the playoffs.
Oh, well, I'm actually going to go the Rays, really? Well, really? I'm actually going to go Angels on this, not because I'm a homer. But you know, the problem that the Angels have had is just that they got injury prone. They had the same leader in there, which Mike Scioscia is a heck of a manager, don't get me wrong. But sometimes you need change in there. So they have a guy in there that's going to make different decisions, not stick with his guys as much as Scioscia did with Brad Ausmus. I think that's going to be what's going to propel them on up as long as they stay healthy. Matt Harvey's on there now, and he looked pretty good in spring training for the most part.
Looks slim. He looks slim.
He did. He looks like somebody said to him, hey, man, maybe some of your problems is...
He's not holding in his pee as much.
So I think just the manager change alone, that Angels team wasn't because of lack of talent. They weren't making the playoffs. It was just bad runs, manager choices, injuries, and whatnot. I think sometimes the leadership changes that up. So I think the Angels are going to be right there and get in there for that second wild card.
But they don't have Ohtani, so that could detract them.
He bats.
I don't think he's batting this year, though. I think
it's just
they're going to sit him.
He can't throw
fully, right? Is he going to play? I thought he was fully getting set.
Well, hold on, let's check it out. No, I thought he was just hitting because you can hit.
I thought they weren't expecting him to play because they didn't want to like further injure that. If something does come up,
you don't get injured. You don't have Tommy John from hitting. You get Tommy John from the awkward throwing. You know what? I don't know. I thought he was. I read a story saying he was hitting. So. Now we're all like, what?
Yeah, now we're like, what?
I mean, I'm still going Angels regardless. I mean, the Angels have talent and their pitching staff, everything. They just got injured at wrong times, and Mike Scioscia stuck with some pitchers that he shouldn't have late in the games that cost him the runs and stuff like that. So, I'm just assuming that the manager change is going to bring some fresh blood in there, and they'll sneak back in again. So. On there. So you find anything on it yet?
I'm just saying that he's not sad about how it worked out last year for him. He said it's still going to be a slow process for Ohtani. He'll get his workouts in. Right now, he'll be mostly inside. All this stuff, obviously, during spring training. So there's nothing. He doesn't feel anything in his elbow. Says everything's been going great and all that stuff. But
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back to.
He's not healthy enough to hit at the moment.
Yeah,
so
I don't think he's coming back till middle of the season.
Albert Pujols are going to be expected to share the DH spots.
The what?
Designated hitter. Hey, man.
Oh, the DH. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. I was thinking disabled list. Sorry.
No.
But that's what I had read earlier too. Was that he was going to be a DH? They're going to split the DH duties.
But it could be a while before he comes out there and starts hitting.
By the way, is the problem with the DH is old man Pujols, who's just writing out an expensive contract, and injured Ohtani.
But that's also what's great about the DH is Pujols and Ohtani can both hit 20 bombs for you and not have to touch the field.
But may I point out, Jason, what does Ohtani play?
He's a pitcher.
Oh, thank you. A pitcher is hitting in the DH spot. Thank you.
Oh, my gosh. He was like a two-way player anyways.
Thank you.
Wow.
I'm just saying, what position does he play?
Okay. Yeah, let's throw Verlander at DH over in Houston, too. See if that works out for him. Jesus.
No, let's get rid of the DH, is my point.
Jesus.
It's for aging players like Pujols.
Jesus.
And good hitting pitchers like Ohtani.
NL. Yeah, the one hitter that can drop bombs. So, on the West, no surprise, Dodgers.
Yeah, the Dodgers are...
You're not going to make a case for the D-backs this year like we did last year?
No.
Okay.
I'm not even going to explain why. No.
NL Central, man, I still like the Brewers a lot, but I think the Cardinals do get them barely at the line there. I like the addition of Goldschmidt and everything. I think Goldie, obviously seeing him play here, dude's a heck of a player, right? Heck of a ball player right there. So
here's the question mark for him, though, is he was pretty much invisible in Arizona, where if he had bad games and whatnot, he was pretty much ignored. He started off last season horribly.
Yeah.
And then he went on fire. And there
were talks here about potentially benching him for a game or two.
But just to give him rest. Nobody was mad at him. It was just we need to give this guy rest so he finds his mind. He starts off like that in St. Louis. They're going to be...
But St. Louis, it's like a big baseball town, big baseball market, but they don't just bash their players. A lot of people love playing in St. Louis.
No, but if they're not good, they let you know still.
Oh yeah,
it's not going to be we need to sit this guy for a game to give him rest. It's going to be we need to sit this guy because he sucks.
But I like the Cardinals. So
you're going Cardinals, huh? I'm actually going to stick with the Brewers on this one here.
Brew Crew?
Brewers. They got rid of one of their pitchers that I'm drawing a blank on right now. But other than that, they're pretty much the same team. They've been good for 3 years.
They had Robbie Ray. Right? Didn't they have Wade Miley? That's what they had. Wade Miley.
I was like, they lost somebody, and he was
one of those old D-backs guys.
Yeah, right. I know. I'm getting all the old D-backs pitchers that went someplace else and was good, confused. They're basically the same team. They've actually been improved the last 2 years. There's no reason to assume they're not going to improve this year. Craig Counsell is a motivator beyond belief, right there.
That he is.
They stared down the Cubs the last 2 years, and the Cubs the last 2 years were better teams than the St. Louis Cardinals are this year. So Brewers have no fear. I'm going to stick with the Brewers. You got to take them down first.
All right. NL East, I'm going to take the Phillies here. I think, their pitching was kind of the downfall last year and everything, but, they weren't really putting runs up on the board either. So I think you get these pitchers a bigger lead is going to help out a ton. Put a little less stress on the bullpen. Gabe Kapler can't make any dumb decisions with the bullpen now, with the new rules going into place. So, it won't be so much of the pitching matchups. Got the 3-batter minimum.
No, not this year. That starts next year.
Oh, yeah, next year. That's when that starts.
So no, it's the same. He can still screw up. He can still walk to the pitching mound and not have anybody warming up. And
well, I think we'll talk to Bryce, and Bryce will be like, "No, man, don't do that." It'll be the LeBron in the Phillies dugout. But I definitely am looking forward to seeing that battle play out.
So here's the deal, right? So if you look at Bryce Harper's stats the last couple of years, because he was injured, by the way. They're not as good as you think they are, right?
But after the All-Star break, he picked it up last year a ton.
He did.
And he's in a hitter's ballpark now.
And he's in a town that will tell you suck when you suck. So I don't think Bryce Harper is going to enjoy that too much.
But he's going to enjoy that standing ovation he's getting tomorrow.
The first day, right? On there. But, I actually, Washington's a solid team. And I think addition by subtraction for them, I think they're going to still pull out that division. The Mets would be somebody I would say watch out for, just because injuries have killed them the last several years. Like you said, they got rid of the trainers. They made a lot of changes, but they also lost some good talent in there in the meantime. And like Thor Syndergaard isn't the pitcher he was before a couple years ago. He's older now and everything. So I think you got to topple Washington on this. And I also think with Bryce Harper going to Philadelphia, I think that Washington's going to be up for those games a lot more than normal.
Oh, yeah, you're definitely going to be amped up.
They're going to be like, you left us for this
I want you to see the reaction he gets in Washington. Well, I don't think it'll be boos, right? Like,
I think
they made the playoffs when he was there. Like, they went on some deep runs. I mean, obviously, it didn't pan out for him, but there was like no hard feelings. Like, you know what, F the Nationals. And he even said in his press conference with the Phillies that he's looking to bring a title to DC. So, I mean,
I think I don't think there's bad blood because he listened to their offer. I mean, it was backloaded for money. And I think even a casual fan understands leaving for more money someplace else. And
but we're just in those times now where everyone just gets like boo happy and like, oh man, screw you, left our team. How dare you do that? Like, I remember,
he had a lot of issues in Washington though, man. He, like I said, he's the Matt Williams type. So those of you that are from the Phoenix area and everything that know Matt Williams, where they're just no nonsense. They don't really have a funny bone in them. Like, look at his press conference. I mean, he just looked miserable sitting there asking questions.
Yeah, he hates that stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, I just want to go play. Like,
but he's like that to everybody too. So he doesn't endear himself to his teammates and things like that. So, I mean, I think, that's the whole deal, especially for Philly when they're a younger team.
I still like the Phillies, though. I think they're gonna do.
I'm not trying to change your mind.
Okay,
I'm just saying.
I didn't say you were. Wild card.
Washington's going to win away. The Russians going to win that division by 100 games.
Not a chance. Wild card. I do got the Nationals make it to the wild card.
That was a joke. You got who?
I got the Nationals making the wild card, and I think the East is going to be just a little bit better than the Central in terms of that final wild card spot. So give me the Mets.
Wow, you think they're going to actually stay injured this year or not injured this year?
Yeah, I think they're going to be healthy this year. I like it.
That's actually going out there on a limb. I'm impressed with that. On that side,
on a limb, he says.
Because I mean, the last 2 years everybody's been waiting for the Mets to wake up and have a solid, But would this change your mind about the Blue Jays that they just acquired Kendrys Morales?
No.
Well, the A's did, by the way. The A's got him from Toronto.
That's probably why it doesn't change my mind.
So Toronto's taking steps backwards.
Doesn't change my mind on the A's either.
You don't think that's going to improve the A's at all?
Not to jump up anywhere near contending.
Nah, everybody else says they are.
But the A's, I mean, like we said, they're just one of those teams who could be there in the end because they are the A's, that small money.
They're going to wake up one day.
Moneyball.
They'll be in
deal.
There. Well, they get the most out of their players, so on that side, So my wildcard one, you have... I have
Nationals and I have the Mets. I have the Mets barely beating the Braves. I really do like the Braves just because of Kuna. But I also like rookie Pete Alonso, who is starting with the Mets. They're not doing that BS service time deal, so...
yeah, that is true. So I'm actually going to go with the Cubbies for the first wild card. Because I think you're right. That division is going to be... 3 teams are going to be very close together all year. You come down to last weekend on that side, so the Cubbies will definitely get in there on that. Actually, I'm going to go with the shocker. I'm going to say Colorado.
Oh, the Rockies. Haven't talked about the Rockies.
They're going to surprise some people out here with their hitting and whatnot, and their pitching is finally good. They got their pitching all lined up and everything. And I mean, playing the Dodgers as much as they're going to play in there, and then having the Diamondbacks and the Padres in your division, they're going to win a lot of games there. I think they'll sneak in there for that last wild card. If it's not them, it's going to be Philly.
I like it.
Going Colorado.
None of us picked the Braves to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think
all two of us.
I think I know, right?
All two of us did not pick the Braves.
But it goes to my theory that it's like the Diamondbacks. They have a surprise season like a year early, and so everybody's excited about the next year, and then they go into that and they just fall on their faces.
But the thing with the Braves though is they actually kept that core. The D-backs, they just like screw it up somehow in the offseason.
No, this was back when they were all young. They had that surprise, and then they keep them together, and then after that failed year, they get rid of them and everything. I just always think like it's almost like they didn't know what they had last year, so it was just like, guys, go play, and now they're all going to overthink it, and they're all going to think they need to be in the playoffs. Pressure is a big thing to a lot of these guys, which is why I'm also thinking Colorado is going to sneak in there, is because they have no pressure in this division whatsoever. I mean, Dodgers are expected to win it. Diamondbacks are supposed to suck. Padres are supposed to be god awful again, and they just have to go out there and play baseball.
So there is a interesting article actually on MLB.com, surprising players who made the opening day rosters, which it was announced earlier that Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to be the second youngest player to ever start be on an opening day roster since Adrian Beltre.
Oh, I was going to say A-Rod, but all right.
Adrian Beltre was like 18 years old. Yeah. Fernando Tatis is like 19 and some odd days or something like that, as you're jamming out over there.
I apologize.
So with Manny Machado playing third base, Fernando Tatis definitely made the most of his spring training over there at shortstop. So number 2 overall prospect in the minors for MLB's pipeline, going to be on the opening day roster. So there you go.
That's exciting. As long as he gets out in a hot run, he'll be all right there.
And from one extreme to the other, from young to old, 3-time All-Star Hunter Pence is going to be with the Rangers on the opening day roster this year at 35 years old.
We saw him in 2 games in in spring training, and he was good.
Yeah, he looks solid. Looks like he's kind of rejuvenated, playing for the hometown team, which is exciting. So I'm talking about that the other day. He was pretty excited to play for the hometown team this year. So
I mean, this will be his last year, no matter how he plays, I imagine.
Yeah, he probably has 1 or 2 years. Depends on how he does this year, I think.
Yeah, but they go back home, and they won't. It's one of those deals where, he's on that low payroll right now, which makes him serviceable. But next year he'll expect a pay raise or whatever, so he ends up leaving.
So, in a weird turn, as this article takes us, Eloy Jimenez was optioned from the White Sox on March 13th, where it's, number 3 prospect in baseball. Looked like he was going to start in the minors. But last week, Eloy Jimenez, the 22-year-old, signed a 6-year, $43 million contract, which means, guess what? He'll be playing and be the starting left fielder for opening day.
Well, I don't know, because the Diamondbacks optioned their $27 million man back down to Reno. So it happens.
Well, I don't think he optioned then get signed, right?
No. Yeah, no.
So definitely one of those weird things. So those 3 stories to keep an eye on, I guess, see how the year goes. And also the Mets going to have their first base situation figured out with Pete Alonso.
I was going to ask if they figured that out, because the Mets had some question marks in their fielding coming out of spring training. So
yeah, so Todd Frazier going to be on the IL this year to start off the season. So Pete Alonso is going to be thrusted into the spotlight.
The Mets are already filling up the IL for the season.
Yeah, with Todd Frazier and Jed Lowry. So infield's kind of deep right there. But Alonso, you made the team. So looking forward to that.
I forgot
today, and
I forgot Todd Frazier was still playing baseball.
Yeah, he went through that thing where he got traded and then got signed. And he played pretty decent last year. Todd Frazier. So yeah, there you go. Four players with all 4 different roads to get to the show. Speaking of the show, we got to go get that game.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you get there, Jason. It's just that you get there.
That is definitely true, Steve.
Unless you're Vlad Guerrero Jr., where you deserve to be there and your team's screwing you over.
Yeah, but he did get hurt, so it worked out for the
year.
It worked out for the Blue Jays' favor.
He should have been up there last year, at least for the call-ups at the end of the year.
Yeah, I get why you didn't call him up, because what was he going to do to the team? You guys weren't going anywhere. He wasn't going to help you out.
No, but he gets acclimated to the travel differences, the how to be a professional, what to do on road trips, how to act, how to dress. That's a lot of players for these guys. A lot of that stuff is in there. So, but it'll be an interesting baseball season. I think obviously the National League's the one to watch. American League's just ho hum, but I mean, there's a lot of storylines this year with aging rosters, young rosters. You know, a lot of guys that are obviously going to be picked up after the season starts that are still going to have some quality starts in them for pitchers and fielders. So it's going to be interesting to see how a player that gets picked up a month or two in is going to help a team out.
So, you ready for a interesting sports fact, Steve?
Yes, and then I have my standard random question for you.
So, weird sports fact of the week. Pittsburgh is the only city where all major sports teams, MLB, NHL, and NFL, have the same colors of black and gold, or yellow, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. But, well, Steelers are black and gold. Pittsburgh's black and gold?
Yeah.
Or the baseball team?
Yeah. And then the Penguins, they're rocking.
I know they're gold. I thought I thought the whatever were yellow. But yeah, you might be right. I mean, hey, stay consistent, right?
And just because you hate the DH, I'm going to give you another one. In 1986, Danny Heap became the first player in a World Series to be a designated hitter with the initials DH. So there you go.
Was that real?
Yep, Danny Heap. Play for Boston.
Really? So, Jason, as you can tell, I didn't care about the DH thing. It's great. So, there's an aging player that had no career left, but they wanted to keep him around because he could hit. Awesome. Go, whatever your name was for the DH at the end of your name.
Well, at least he wasn't Buckner.
Hard cookies or soft cookies? This has been my debate this week with myself.
Like, what do I like?
Yeah.
Well, I like the soft cookies, the chewy ones. You know, you go like Chips Ahoy, like, you know, you buy them like off the shelf. Yeah, you get like the Chips Ahoy chewy.
Yeah, like,
and then if you bake them, you know, you want to touch them while they're hot. You know, get them fresh.
Touch them while they're hot. Yeah, because I had somebody tell me they liked hard cookies, and I was like, "What communist world do you live in?"
Serial killer,
right? Like. Maybe a hard cookie every once in a while, like if you want to dip it in milk or something, right? Which I'm not a big milk dipper anyway. But yeah, soft cookies all the way, right?
Dip the Oreos in milk.
You pick up a cookie and it's like melted in your hand. And it's like, you know, you like bend it, like, oh, right?
Yeah, it just breaks off. Like, it's so good.
Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. That's been on my mind. And then, do you throw the yellow Starbursts away or do you eat them?
I eat them. If they're there, I'll eat them. I never throw them away.
But they're the most hated one. I saw online the other day that they're the most hated Starburst. You can get the red flavor, whatever that is, fruit punch.
That cherry fruit punch.
You can get that in a bag by itself. You can get the pink in a bag by itself. But the yellow, no. Discriminatory against the yellow. What is up with that?
That is weird.
I was waiting for an Asian joke from you there.
No. Wasn't ahead, I guess. Wasn't on my game today.
I was waiting for you to go, I don't eat
the yellow ones.
Whatever they are.
Because of the Asian.
Oh, dear God. Went there. Yeah, so what do you know? Baseball season starts tomorrow. Hockey season's wrapping up. Phoenix is excited because Coyotes went on a 4-game losing streak. Won last night, and they're tied for the last wildcard spot with the Colorado Avalanche, who they play on Friday night. So it's being overhyped by the hometown team.
I love it.
So Lakers were officially eliminated, which everybody's excited about around here. Because, LeBron finally picks his own team, and it finally comes back and bites him in the ass.
Yep. And it's going to keep biting him in the ass, too.
Mavs are still sucking at basketball.
They won the last 2 games. Those idiots. Keep losing.
Tank, dang it, tank.
Which I wasn't too. I mean, I was mad when I saw they score the Warriors game, but then, you know, you see Dirk do good, and they were interviewing Steve Nash and everything, so they had a good time with that. And then I saw that it was the largest point loss that the Warriors have taken under Steve Kerr at home. So I was like, all right, if you're going to do it, let's make some history, right?
So interesting thing on that. I don't have the actual stats in front of me. So Steph Curry was out for that game.
Yes.
And when Steph Curry does not play for the Warriors, they usually lose, and they lose badly.
But Dirk had 21 points.
Okay.
So, Dirk.
But when that means Kevin Durant was playing, right? Supposedly the best player in basketball or whatever. But when he plays, so when he's in there without Steph Curry, they get blown out or whatever. But when he doesn't play with the Warriors, they have a winning record. They're not going to be too sad to see him go to the Knicks next year.
No, not going to be sad at all. Not going to be sad at all.
They're going to be like, here's your bags, buddy. See you later. Like, we don't need you. We won without you. We'll win without you again, buddy. On there. So, I mean, it's exciting sports time with baseball starting up, hockey wrapping up. Gosh, I think we're only, 3 weeks for hockey playoffs to come?
Yeah, just a few weeks away, getting the particulars on that stuff and when we're going to go to Vegas for our one game. So we're probably not going to get guaranteed a second series this year.
They're running into money issues. Did you read that story?
The Knights are?
Yeah, so they had to trade somebody a month ago or so because they had to clear a high priced out that they gave him a high priced deal, so they had to clear him out in order to give one of their young guys a high priced deal because he's due one. So they're running into that right now. So I think Vegas has come back down to earth here. But
they did move up to the top 5 in the rankings this year on the or this week on the ESPN or
UFC they're still good.
They've been playing some great hockey here.
They put it together, but
some great puck.
NHL playoffs come down to one thing, man. That's goaltending. If your goaltender is great, you can go far as you want. Because Marc-Andre Fleury was awesome in the first rounds. And when he got the Capitals, he just couldn't stop the puck anymore.
Yep, right now it has the Golden Knights starting off with the San Jose Sharks. So maybe we can feast on Shark again this year.
Ooh, Sharks are one of the best teams, though.
They feast
in the West. Well, they're going to win the West.
Knights are only one game behind them.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, the Knights have gone on a big run then.
Yeah, Knights are playing some good puck.
Yep. AAF's about to fold. We're reading today.
Yes, the AAF. Sad to see you go. Didn't even know you were here, except for 1 week.
That's what I was telling you. Like after week 2, I haven't even heard about them, let alone.
Yeah, I think the only thing I saw was they retired the hot shot number 19 here. And man, gosh, you did this whole big ceremony for that number to get retired. And it's like that'll be a trivia question coming up in like
was the
years.
Only number in AAF to be retired?
Like in 50 years, what was the only number in AAF to be retired? And you're like, who the hell played in the AAF? And you're like, 19 for the 19 hot shots. Like nobody's going to know that.
So like, I know somebody that was involved with the Hot Shots, and he wasn't with that group, but he does what they do, and so he knew those guys. I did a big charity golf tournament with another guy, for their families. After that happened, the kids go to school with a couple of the guys that didn't make it. Kids over here at the school, and then you told me they retired that number 19. I was like, why? I'm such a dick. Excuse my language. It just didn't register.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been ingrained in all of us Arizonans, but then I have the personal connections and stuff, and I was just like, why would they retire?
Why would they retire that number? That's weird. Those guys are weird. Like, who played for them? That was 19.
But I also, find it weird that they call the sports team that, because you do think about that all the time. When I hear Hot Shots, hey, yeah, that's what I think about. It doesn't bring me happiness.
Yeah. It is a weird thing that they did there.
But it's a good, I guess, it's good.
Good marketing ploy.
No,
and
not that.
Out here in Arizona.
It's a good
reminder.
Yeah. What's that? Honor? It's a good honor?
Good honor.
Kind of like the Redskins. Good. The Indians.
Yeah, good honor. At least, the Cleveland Indians, they had a good honor with Chief Wahoo, who obviously is dead this year. Sad to see him go.
Yeah, my hat's going to live in infamy.
I know.
But I'm sure, I guess, like Fanatics and them can't do it, right? Because it won't be licensed.
They can still sell it, I think. Because I was actually down at a Goodyear Park during spring training. They actually have a lot of Chief Wahoo stuff.
Did it say 2018 on it?
No, it was like this year type stuff. So the teams just aren't going to wear it, I believe. I think they're going to start fading it out. But
wait, when did you go to that stadium?
I don't know, like first week of spring training.
Oh, did you? Wow. Impressive.
I didn't hit them all up this year. Still missing the Padres and the A's. I've not been to.
Well, did you go to the A's when it was Cubs?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so you've never been in there.
Yeah, so I've never been in the A's. The Padres, I had tickets to it twice. I think both games got rained out or something like that. of all things, right?
Right.
Yeah, because I remember like the one year it got rained out there, so we went to Surprise. It was like a split squad and saw like the Rangers play, and then my cousins came in town and all the games got rained out, so we went to NASCAR that day, and we are gonna go. I was like, oh yeah, it's cool. You're gonna run in the stadium, and it was right when like Salty's Senoritas was still open down there, so I was like, we can go to Salty's pregame, get some margs in us, go watch a game, yeah. But then the rain came.
When I was at the Talking Stick for that D-backs Padres game, it was Tuesday night, so it was a night game, and we sat 4 rows behind. I was nice enough to, somebody was nice enough to invite me to nice tickets right behind home plate there and everything. And it's amazing the difference between the ballparks with drinks and food and everything. Like, the Angels were really nice. They had the large bottles and, everywhere you went. Like D-backs, you went to the concession stands and it was like, the Coors Light and all that garbage. Like you had to like hunt for like those big bottles because she wanted like a big bottle of Kill Lifter or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a plug. And you had to,
bomber can.
You had to like go look for it, Like Angels was right there. Rangers had their stuff all right there in big areas. It's just funny how the ballparks are different in that setup. Like, I don't want to go hunt. I don't want to. Well, even food. Like the food stuff was like hard to find. It's like, why do you make this so hard for me to find stuff? It's the Diamondbacks and who they partner with,
Rockies.
What's my other thing? Let me go off on this tangent. Why do you split a spring training home with your division rival?
What do you think they're gathering intel on the other side?
No, because that's what scouts are for and everything, but. Don't you want the Rockies to be like in a crappier place than you?
I mean, you would want it, right? I mean, I would think make it miserable for them,
right?
Well, that's why I like Goodyear because they do Indians and Reds, so it's both Ohio teams.
It's Dodgers and White Sox.
Then you got Dodgers and White Sox, which no real connection there. But the Cubs, they ain't sharing with anybody.
No, because they don't have to.
The A's, they're not sharing.
This is my first
The Brewers,
year.
they're also here, but they're not sharing. I mean, the Cubs just won't share. I mean, the A's and Brewers, they just have different venues.
Well, the Cubs don't have to share because we went on a random day and it's freaking sold out, and we
15,000 people went to go see them play the Red Sox yesterday out there. Do you know the Red Sox were in town? That's how weird to me. Like spring training was really weird this year because I remember like 2 weeks ago I was like, oh, we got so much more time to go. Like we went to a game in like week 1, right?
Yeah.
And that was like 2 weeks ago. It feels like, and they were like, oh, we got so much more time to go to these other games and other stadiums. And we did hit up the Cubs stadium for like a night game just because
I declared that was my last spring training game because I was like, I got spring break, got this other stuff, so I won't make it to another one. And then last week I went to one, and even I was like, oh, I could probably hit one more up. And then like Sunday, it was like, this is the end of spring training. I was like, what? What?
I was like, I might go Friday. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'll go Sunday. And then like Sunday came, I was just like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Then I see posts like, oh, Camp Stowe. I was like, no.
It was like weird. It was like, okay.
The Rangers are coming here second week of the year. So after the Red Sox are out of town, I'll be
here.
Yeah. So they got Tuesday and Wednesday, which I just saw like last week. So I'll go there, watch them play.
6:40 p.m. pitching, first pitch.
I was hoping for one of those to be a day game. Get those matinee prices out there.
They don't make cheaper prices.
Yeah, for the day games they do. Yeah, D-backs do. Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah. If you go to a Sunday game, great. You can get some great seats behind home plate.
I just assumed you could get cheap seats because nobody goes.
Well, you get them on StubHub. Where goes that? But other than that, you can not pay the fee, avoid the fees, pick them up at the ticket office.
I mean, with my old life in the in the corporate world, I didn't have to buy tickets for that. And then last year, our company had them, which is the greatest thing ever that we dropped those. I nixed at that. I was like, we can buy cheaper tickets and sit in better places.
Just won't have the $80 D-backs bucks.
I know. I'll have to buy our own
$4,000 of D-backs bucks at the end of the year.
It's so funny how I'm breaking out those shirts for the first time now. like when I went to that game at Talking Stick, I was like, oh, I'm wearing my D-back shirt I got last year.
Yeah, when else are you going to wear? You're not going to wear it in November.
I know. It's been in a bag, like in the middle of nowhere. So, all right, we're wasting time. We're out.
We are wasting time. Thank you for listening. God bless you. God bless the troops. And God bless America.